my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're getting out in nature, but in my area it's a rainy day, so Starlight won't be taking that beautiful hike that she wanted to take today, but that is okay. Um, I have another day. Hope, tomorrow, is another day. So anyway, I just want to reach out to all of you out there and see how all of you are doing. I hope you're doing great. And this is a new background here today. I didn't know this until recently, is at the library they have little private rooms. So this is where Starlight is in a library. So I'm just getting used to the setup and the lighting and stuff like that as far as making YouTube videos. So anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that's Kathy with a K Dingman. And also, I just want to make sure that you're able to get out in nature, and not only get out in nature if it's, not raining out, of course, is to make sure you are taking really good care of yourself, plus, like your loved ones, but always, take care of yourself first. Also, to make sure that you're working on yourself, being that change that you want to see in the world. And nobody's perfect, and I got to tell you, Starlight is absolutely not perfect. I know I make lots of boo-boos. I guess they're not mistakes, but I could say I do have still lessons to learn as far as making videos, what to say, not to say. So please forgive me for my shortcomings, and I will forgive you for yours. So anyway, besides taking really good care of yourself is, I know in my area, really, I don't want to scare you, but in my area, a lot of people are getting sick with something, and I'm not sure what. So just protect your body, and keep your hands clean, from any germs and stuff like that. Starlight, like really likes to be clean, so it is so important to, keep your hands clean from germs so you don't get, like COVID or anything, because I do know people in my area, like I said, that are sick with something. I'm not sure if it's COVID or just a cold, and it's in this year, in this area where I am, that's this time of year is, with people getting sick. So anyway, I do love you. And today is a different type of video. I don't believe I really made any video on this topic in itself. I might have threw this part of this topic in other videos that I've made related to the same topic. So today it's about, do you have a hard time forgiving yourself? And I have to say, through my whole life, I've always had a hard time forgiving myself. So, and that is something that I am still working on today. So, but I am doing way better than a long time ago. So it is so important, if you've hurt somebody, whether purposely or unintentionally, sometimes we accidentally hurt people without even knowing that we did, or you might have said something that maybe you misjudged somebody, and that does happen. I believe we all have done that in our life somewhere along the line, is to be careful, if you see something in somebody and you think, ooh, you might did your investigation, and thought, I see what you did or whatever, and you might, accuse them of something that affected you or maybe even other people, and you might have confronted them, and you might have found out after you said what you said to them that maybe you weren't 100% sure. Maybe, like this happens with police officers, when they investigate, or like a scene of a crime or something like that. And we've seen many movies out there, at least Starlight has, where there's definitely times where police officers, or even the court system, the judge, where they didn't have all their facts. And also, I got to throw this in, is, whoops, I just realized something. I gotta turn my phone off. So then, I don't really get very many phone calls, but just in case somebody decides to call me during a video, hang on. Sorry. So, yeah, doctors, do this where they try to diagnose somebody and they were wrong. And then they gave them medication and they did certain things with that patient, and it could have caused them to die, or it could have caused them to get sick or something. And don't mind my hair. Starlight's hair is a little funky right now, but I got all nice and clean, so my hair is kind of has a mind of its own. But anyway, doctors do this. Like I was saying, is that doctors, you might see a doctor and they might have thought, well, we've done some tests on you, and we believe that you have certain things wrong with you, and where it could really do a lot of damage on you. They might have prescribed the wrong kind of medication to you, and then where there might have been other things that could have been wrong with you where you weren't really quite for sure. Sorry, I'm just not getting the right angle here. So that's better. So anyway, doctors definitely have been wrong about their diagnosis, and as far as giving medications or labeling, they love to label people like, oh, we got to get a label on you. What are you? Are you bipolar? What's wrong with you? So labels, and who likes the labels? What would you like to do with those labels? We won't go there. So anyway, besides doctors, the other people that can do this is also your mechanic for your car. There's times that a good mechanic, just like a doctor, first they want to start out with the littlest, the cheapest things that could be wrong, like either with you with a doctor or like with your car, that your car has a problem. And sometimes it's really hard, just like the human body, to really know what is going on. What's wrong with you, Starlight? I don't know. So, and no, I'm not crazy. I'm just waking up. So anyway, like a doctor or a mechanic, there's times that, you might have different symptoms, and like with your car, it might be doing certain things where they have a hard time diagnosing what's wrong with you or what is wrong with the car. So the best thing to do is start off with the small, little, less expensive things and say, well, maybe it could be this. And then if that wasn't it, then the next thing that it could be, because this does happen where, like you could make a mistake and make a wrong judgment on something, where a doctor, could really, it's very serious even, like to play, like doctor and be wrong at diagnosing somebody and giving them the wrong kind of medications, or giving them the wrong kind of advice where the patient could suffer, not just suffer, depending on the kind of medication they gave them. And, also it's the cost. It could have cost them a lot of money, especially if they don't have free health insurance from the government. So people will get upset, and it is, people have lessons in life to make, and that's why it's so good not to be in a rush on judging things. And, it says in the Bible not to judge, but we do judge. There's righteous judgment, and then there's the judgment that is where we are wrong about something, where we didn't quite get all the pieces. And that recently definitely happened to Starlight, where I didn't have all the pieces. I knew I didn't have all the pieces. And that happens even with scientists, where they want to have an answer, like to something, so they can help the community out. And these days, a lot of people just want to be famous. They want their title. They want their name on something. So they're like, I did this and I did that. And so a lot of times that's what it is to get recognized by the society, that they look at me, look at what I came up with, and where I'm the one that solved the case, as far as like police officers, like to say, a certain officer, did the investigation, but you got to have all the pieces, just like life itself. Like I know in my life, starting out as a kid, I knew something was wrong, which I put this in other videos, not believing that my parents were, you're not my parents, and you might think that's crazy, but, I later on in my life, I did make sense of that whole mess, is because of different things, but I'm not going to get into all those details now because that's a totally different topic on that. Is like with society, where there's something a little funky, you're like, what, how come things don't like make any sense, and still today there's a lot of people trying to understand, is there a God or not, and so a lot of people wonder, and you can't really put all the pieces together even on that. If you don't have all the pieces, you can't figure it out. If there pieces not there, or I'm big into puzzles. Um, do you have all the pieces? And that's what happens a lot with people when they judge people wrongly and accuse them of things. And you could be one of those people, or maybe you have abused someone, you know, um, throughout your life somewhere, where it could have been your kids, and they remember, when kids are at a certain age, and if they get abused, and abuse is so many different forms. So abuse can be, verbally being mean to them and saying unkind words, like calling them names in a negative way, like calling them stupid, or like saying horrible stuff to your kids. They will remember that. Oops, I got an itch. Or physical abuse that kids can go through. Not all kids go through this, but there's a good majority of the kids get abused in one way or another. Neglect is another form of abuse, where because they were neglected, so many things could happen to children because nobody was there to watch them, to take good care of them, to protect them from people. So you might be that parent that might have did some kind of abuse. And then there's, of course, sexual abuse to children, where, you know, we have lessons in life sometimes, and you might think this is crazy, where everybody is different, like as far as being a person. Sometimes people repeat what they've gone through and they think it's normal. Some other people do things that they didn't know was wrong because they didn't have the head knowledge of knowing that that was a wrong thing to do. Like, say, for instance, physical abuse, like beating your kids. If you were beaten as a child and then you have kids of your own, are you going to beat your children? You might. You might think, well, it worked for my parents because, man, when they beat the heck out of me, I stopped doing it. So that might be your way of thinking. And then your child grows up and remembers, like, they could really hate you, don't want nothing to do with you, and it could make you feel guilty of what you did, and you remember what you did. You can't even stop thinking about what you did, and your kids definitely are not going to forget what you did. So there's a lot of people that go through that. Or you might have been abusive to relationships, and that goes for males and females, because not just men abuse women, but there are a lot of women that abuse men in different forms, maybe not so much sexually, but there are those cases that do, or there's all different ways of hurting each other, or even using people, like for their money, taking them for their money, just, wanting to use them, for money. And so, and also just like with being a mom or a dad and abusing your children, the same thing goes on as far as relationships, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband or wife, where you can be verbally abusive to each other and tear each other apart with your sword, your tongue, which can be like a sword. It can be a piercing as a sword, and it can cut deep within you, so you really do have to be thoughtful for the words that you use, because it could affect people in a very, very negative way. It could even cause somebody to want to harm themselves, because you know they do have that saying, and Starlight said it many times as growing up, is sticks and stones may break my bones, but names never hurt me. What a stupid thing. I don't know how many times I repeated that one when I was a kid, but you know what? Both of them hurt. Being physically beaten up and verbally being name called is very painful and can last your lifetime. So, those are statements that are absolutely not true. So verbally being abusive is very painful, but maybe, so there's verbally, abusive to relationships, physical abuse, maybe you're a guy and you've physically abused a loved one, whether it was a girlfriend, boyfriend. Well, these days, sorry to laugh about that, but, really it's more common these days to, have guys and guys together or girls and girls, and they can be abusive to each other, so it doesn't matter. It's all it's not my place to say what I think about that stuff, but God, it's something that God is aware of, so Starlight is not interested in that kind of relationship, but in any kind of relationships, even friends can be abusive to each other. So maybe you're the one, now I have to keep on going on this, is also in relationships, it could be sexual abuse, and also neglect as far as relationship goes, where you're not communicating and you're not even there in that relationship, and where they spend most of the time alone, and maybe they're being used, with the money or something, or a house to live in, where you're not there for that person, and that's another form of abuse as far as relationship goes, where you're not even spending time with each other, but you live together, so you might be guilty at abusing somebody in a relationship, like especially verbal abuse, sexual abuse, or physical abuse, and it might haunt you this day, because maybe that person that you were with really truly loved you and you want them back, but they don't want nothing to do with you, and I don't blame them, if you physically abuse somebody or sexually abuse somebody or verbally abuse, of course they're, hopefully they're not going to want people back, but you might have a hard time because now you, it's eating you up inside, and you feel bad at what you did, and what you did now, was wrong because of how it all played out, and now that person, that you knew was there 100%, and they never did anything wrong with you, they never cheated on you or lied, and they cooked and cleaned for you, and you mistreated them, you called them names, and ever since they left you, or even had to call the cops to protect themselves from you, that from this day you have never found another girl or guy that could ever take that person's place, where you find out, oh my, like all the other relationships you've been in after is been a nightmare for you. Well, that is a lesson to learn, and maybe now, you want to go back with that person, and that they don't want nothing to do with you, but now what it is that you're dealing with guilt, and you're dealing with shame, and you're having a hard time forgiving yourself of what you did like 20 years ago, and now every day of your life you're like, oh, it's a constant reminder of what you did and how you felt and what you caused, what kind of pain and stress you caused to the other person, whether you verbally abused them or physically or sexually or neglected them altogether and weren't even there, like for emotional support or anything, is now what it is that you have to learn to forgive yourself for what you did 20 years ago. And that is not easy, especially even with parents, is that if you were an abusive parent to your children and now they're adults and they don't want nothing to do with you now, those are lessons in life that we all have to learn, and it's not easy to go through those lessons when we were guilty of causing somebody else pain, and I know Starlight's never really done anything wrong to anybody. I have been very hard on myself, and so it is not the easy thing. I always found it was easier. It's not easy no matter how you cut the pie here or the cake. It's not easy to forgive people that have abused you, either neglected you or did all kinds of sorts of abuse to you. It is not easy to forgive them. But what I found out throughout my whole life, it is so hard for me to forgive myself when I only, like accidentally, could have hurt somebody's feelings. So you do have to learn to forgive yourself. And I don't know if you could be like Starlight, but when Starlight hurts somebody's feelings mainly, is I apologize over and over again, and every time I might talk to that person, I'm like, I'm so sorry what I did like a couple months ago, and how many times do you have to say sorry to the same person? So that's when you got to realize that, you already did your part. If you already apologized to those ones that you hurt, and if you are having a hard time dealing with forgiving yourself, you might first want to start, if you can, is to let that person that you hurt or abused or neglected or, called names, or maybe you were never there. That's what happens to a lot of parents, that, you might be a dad or a mom where, you weren't ready to be a mom or a dad. You were maybe in a very young or even middle age. It doesn't even matter what age, but, everybody's different. You might have been going through the stage of wanting to party all the time and weren't ready to go to work at the time because you had a lot of growing up to do and you had lessons to learn. So, and it all depends on how you were brought up. Everybody comes from different backgrounds as far as families go. So you really have to, like, it's really important, if you want to forgive yourself, is, if you can, is like if it's your kids, if you abused your kids, and they're suffering and they might have to go to a, like therapy now, they might be on medication now, you might have caused them to be a suicidal, and you might not even be aware of why they were trying to kill themselves, is the best thing that I can tell you is to, reach out to those people, whether they're your kids or an ex that you abused, is to say sorry. I don't know why I did those things, or you might know why. Maybe there's something that was going on that you didn't quite understand, and to let them know that I am sorry what I did, to those people. And I mean, like, you don't want to, some people say sorry, but they really never meant sorry, and then they just repeat the same, I've been there, done that kind of thing. So there's different ways that people say sorry. It's either they mean it or they don't. And when Starlight says she's sorry, she's absolutely sorry. And what I've learned as far as forgiving yourself or trying to forgive yourself, it is so hard where I've watched movies like this where this is not an easy topic, is that somebody, some people out there in the world, you might be one of these people where it's hard for you to forgive yourself to the point that you punish yourself because of how you, what you did to somebody else, where you might find a way to punish yourself and beat yourself some way or another, to pay yourself back from what you did to somebody else. And you got to be careful with that. That is not healthy for you to do. And it definitely means that you definitely feel sorry what you did, but you should not beat yourself in any form. You know, I've watched movies where there was a man that really dedicated his life to God and would beat himself with some kind of whip on his back, you know, to punish himself because he felt lousy, that he didn't fully fulfill what he's supposed to do. He kind of failed on something, and he was really abusing himself to punish himself for what he did. You know, so you don't want to do that to yourself, and there's so many ways that you can really like abuse yourself because of how bad you feel of what you caused to somebody else. So you really, that's not what God wants you to do as far as getting right with people when you've done wrong. Is you gotta, it takes time, you know, is that you gotta accept your flaws in life and realize that it's okay, you know, that, you know, it's not okay in a way that, you know, to abuse people, but have you learned your lesson? You know, that's what it's about. Would you do it again? You know, that's really what it's about. If you would do it again, then you didn't learn your lesson. You know, like if you were physically abusive to women or physically abusive to men or using men for their money and just taking their, you know, guys do the same thing these days, you know, get with somebody because they got a lot of money and you're like, ooh, I'm going to go with that girl. You know, she's got a lot of money. Oh, you know, there's so many ways of abuse and using people as far as a relationship goes, and it doesn't have to be a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife kind of relationship. It could be your friend. Hey, I like you. You got lots of money. And they could be a very giving person and a beautiful heart, you know, where they might spoil you and you might enjoy it where, you know, where you're not even real with that person and you're just there for the ride. You're just there like, hey, what else can you give me? You know, and you might always want more from that person. So it is so important that you get right with the people, you know, if you can, and say, hey, you know what, I did some stuff to you a long time ago. Or, you know, a lot of kids go through this, either moms or dad, where they were never there. You know, they had their kids, you know, they got delivered, you know, the woman delivered the children, you know, he ended up having a baby. And, you know, there's a lot of men will flee, you know, hey, I'm pregnant, you know, you help me, you know, I didn't get pregnant by myself. This has happened to Starlight, and I got two kids by two different fathers, and I am not ashamed of that at all. It just, you know, where were the daddies? You know, so where what happens there is, and many times, and that just doesn't happen with the daddies not being there. Sometimes it might be the mommy that's not there. You know, she might not be a good mom to her kids, or she might have went off and just left her kids somewhere, you know, and did her own thing, you know. So that does happen, males and females, fathers and mommies, you know, where they neglected their kids and the babies started out, you know, and, you know, where the either the little boy or the little girl, the little son or daughter doesn't even know their mom, you know, and now they're 21 and they don't know nothing about their mom or dad. And happens over and over again in society. I've known many people on this topic that was not there for their kids. They were an absent parent, and no, they didn't die. They're alive. They, you know, went and lived their life. They never went to go visit their kids. Some of them may never paid child support. You know, they might have been getting in trouble all the time. And a lot of times this happens is when a lot of times these people do get in some kind of drugs or alcohol, you know, where they got addicted to either, they could have became an alcoholic and wasn't there for their kids, or they could have gone out and lived a really rough life and got caught up with the wind somehow or another, and where they just was not there at all for their babies. So there's a lot of people, parents out there, whether a mommy or a daddy, that has gone through this, has done this with their kids, and every day of their life they struggle, with what they're doing, whether they're aware of it at the time, like with people that are drinkers, or even in the drugs, the days that they're, like their child's birthday might come up, or certain holidays, or school might start out, or they might drive around on the street and see the school bus. These are little triggers that come up, and they like, oh, they remember their child, oh, it's my child's birthday today. Oh, how old is my child today? Oh, my child's 12 years old today, but they won't call up and say happy birthday because they feel guilty that they weren't there, and they're scared. They're really scared. They don't know how to actually reach out, and they end up feeling guilty about not being there the whole time, and they feel lousy about who they are, and that just means that they need to forgive themselves of not being there. But when I say that, does that mean that you continue not being there for your children? Absolutely not. If there's no court order saying that you cannot be around these children, really, if you're one of those parents out there that struggle with this, please, your children need you, But if there's a court order, like that you are not allowed to be around your kids because of abuse, then listen to the court order. I don't want you to go and get locked up and put in a prison or jail because you broke a court order that you were not supposed to go and, visit your child or try to visit them at the school or wherever that they're at, please, like you would really help your children out. And not only that is seek therapy, really. Go find a therapist, go get some help, because if you're still a mess, and I mean like maybe you're still into drugs or alcohol, and you want to do right with your children, is to seek some therapy, because you really don't want your kids to see you as an alcoholic or onto drugs. You really want to clean up your life, and work on your way of finding time, like to reach out to the parent, whether it's a guy or girl, whether it's a mommy or daddy, and let them know that, like, I'm going to work on myself. I really want to be serious about this and work on myself so I can visit my son or daughter. And but you need to forgive yourself. But in order to forgive yourself, there's got to be a change. You can't keep on repeating the same mistake over and over again, or the same lesson over and over again. You really need to really work on yourself. Like I said, like you might want to go to get some help for quitting to drink alcohol or to quit doing drugs. It's for your children, really, and not just for your children, it is for you. You gotta love yourself enough to say, you know what, I gotta get help. I really do. Like, I cannot do this any longer. And they do have lots of places out there that have groups. You can find groups out there that will help you out, and you'll be amazed with what kind of help you can get with groups. That is where people will open up, and they will say what they've experienced and what they've gone through, and they might have some things to help you out along the way. And you need the love and support from other people that are going through what you're going through. But you really need to forgive yourself, because a lot of people out there, when they've done really horrible stuff to other people, whether, not being there for your kids, and that's a big thing, that is huge. Or if you've been abusive to people, whether it's your kids or loved ones, no matter who they are, or even animals. Animals go through a lot of abuse from people. I've seen lots of stuff in my past, in my lifetime, about animal abuse. So And that's why I'm a vegan now. I don't eat animals anymore. I love my animals. So you really need to take some time out to, it is called self-love, is to forgive yourself. Don't beat yourself up, please. Don't beat yourself up over what you did. That does not help matters. That actually worsens things. Is you got to love yourself enough and say, you know what, that was 20 years ago. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to quit alcohol. I'm going to, quit that drug. I'm going to go out and seek therapy, go to groups. Sometimes people might have to go at special programs that they have out in the community where you can go in and spend some time where you're not absolutely at all allowed to drink alcohol or drugs. They will put you in a program, and they do have programs out there. I've definitely heard of some programs out in my area. They're strict though, but it will help you to come clean. Work on yourself. Love yourself enough that you can forgive yourself. And, like really it does help out if you can say sorry to those people that you hurt and, admit to what you did, and, I always ask God when I do something wrong, please forgive me. I screwed up there, and I do reach out. I did hurt somebody a while back, and I didn't have all the pieces, and I just was going through a lot, and so you really got to be careful of the words that come out of your mouth and what you say to people, and don't be so quick to judge, and you want to learn your lessons. So, and that's what Starlight is learning to do, is to, like, don't be so quick to just say, because you could be wrong, just like police officers, doctors, and judges, and mechanics, all of us have had to have done this in their life, falsely accusing somebody thinking, I got all the pieces, I got your number, I know you're lying to me, or, because sometimes things do look like somebody did something wrong to you, and, they had different stories in the Bible where, like there was a scene that was going on, and different people seeing the same thing at a different angle, and it is kind of interesting how at one angle something may look and appear a certain way, but at other people's angle it could look totally different than your angle. So not everything, sometimes some things are gray and white, where you're fully not 100% clear, about what's going on. So those are where you got to be really careful not to be so quick to judge something and to accuse something, because there is such a thing as false accusation, and you definitely don't want to do that, because that happens in today in society, where there's people that go to prison or jail or even get hung up, and their lives get ended because somebody didn't do their job. They didn't have all the facts, or something was a little crooked, and that's what you got to watch out for, especially when there's other people involved where, I could tell you about being a thief. Starlight was really good at being a thief when she was younger, where you could be set up, for a fall, and it could make it look like somebody's guilty for something. I've watched lots of detective movies. Starlight was always into cops movies, detective work. I've always had a high for that stuff. I've always been really watching that stuff a lot in my life. So I do like detective stuff. But, there's a lot of times those detectives, were wrong about stuff, and they did put people behind bars many times in life. So you really got to, like when it comes to forgiving yourself, it does take time. You got to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore to myself. I apologize. How many times have I apologized? How many times do you got to apologize? Really, it was just one time. Starlight apologizes like 20 times. I am sorry. So, and I gotta let you all know it is challenging at times to make videos, And there's errors. I know there's errors. There's things I say, and I'm like later on, I think, oh no, that was not good. So I apologize to all of you out there is for my shortcomings as a YouTuber. You know, I am not perfect. Hang on. See? Um, I am not perfect. Sorry about this. And I never want you to think I am. So I apologize for my shortcomings. Things don't come out of my mouth right, you know, and then, you know, so I apologize. See, there I go again for my shortcomings. So please forgive Starlight for her shortcomings because that's the part of this whole reason of having a YouTube channel is to let you know that nobody's perfect. So I don't want any of you to say, you know, hey, Starlight, you're right. I do have flaws. I do. And I have to claim those as my own and to love myself in spite of all my flaws. It's okay to have flaws. You know, I love myself so much. I really do. I woke up this morning and I said, you know what? I was freshening up for today, got my hair all nice and clean, and I said, you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. I really don't. I wouldn't change a thing of who I look like, you know, and I said to the universe, you know, I want my eyes, you know, next time around, please. I really love my eyes. And so you do. You need to really give yourself a hug. And it's okay. It is okay that you're not perfect. It's okay that you have flaws. And don't worry about what other people are going to say or how they're going to judge you. And we all need to forgive ourselves. And not only that we got to forgive ourselves for our shortcomings, we have to learn to forgive others also. So anyway, I know that this is a long video, and please, you know, work on yourself and let those things go. Don't beat yourself up anymore, please. That's why a lot of people turn to alcohol is because they feel guilty of what they did. You know, they wish they could take it back, but they know they can't. You know, the damage is already done. You can't turn back the clock and say, I wish it never happened. It doesn't work that way. So I really love all of you. Just be kind to yourself. And it's okay that you're not perfect. And it's okay that you have flaws. But God wants you to love you for who you are. So anyway, I do love all of you. And I'll just give all of you a hug. So anyway, this is Starlight. You can give this video a thumbs up. And you can also share my videos with your family, friends, cat, dog. Trying to think of what animal is here. A fox? So foxes are beautiful. You could share my videos with your fox. Also, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget, this is a new thing I'm throwing in my videos, is don't forget to check out the playlist. There might be other topics that you could be interested in, so check those babies out. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight or on Facebook at Kathy with a K Digman. And I really hope you get a lot of help from this video. You know, forgive yourself. You know, life is too short, you know, so anyway, I love you. This is Starlight. Love and light and peace.